Shalom, Apostle Ha coming back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Bakar Kodash. And I'm going to entitle this video, Alaska hit by earthquake. What does the scripture say about this subject? As you can see here, this is CNN. It says 7.0 Alaska quake damages roads, brings scenes of chaos. This is from the BBC. Alaska earthquake. Anchorage rocked by aftershocks. The next one is Alaska earthquake. Claim no lives, officials say, but infrastructure damage. And as you scroll down, you know, you go to Google and you put in Alaskan earthquake, you get a whole bunch of news articles on the subject. And what I have is footage from the actual earthquake that took place earlier today. Now the Most High is behind all of these earthquakes. And I'm just going to go into the scriptures. And when the Most High makes earthquakes happen or take place, these earthquakes are signs of the end of this man's system. And we're going to read that too in the scriptures, in the book of Matthew, Luke, and Mark. Because in Matthew's 24, Luke 21, and Mark 13, they all speak about the same thing concerning the end of this world, this man's system. And the Lord said there will be diverse earthquakes, famines, pestilence. And 2019 is what, 32 days away, because today's date is November 30th, 2018, year of prophecy. And tomorrow, or Saturday, will be the first day of December. So you got like 30 from today. You got 32 days before 2019 comes in, and I believe that the Most High is going to turn the heat up in 2019. Because the Most High plays with numbers. He plays with his numbers and he plays with Esau's numbers. And we do a video. We do videos on that day. On so-called New Year's Eve, bringing in the New Year. And Most High willing, we be out of here by 2019. And if we're not, a lot of things are gonna, I see a lot of things are gonna occur, and ushering in the destruction of the complete destruction of this place, and the coming of our Messiah and the deliverance and the kingdom. So it'd be beautiful if it happened 2019. We know it's not going to happen in 2018 because we have a little bit more than a month in this year. And when the major destruction comes, the prophecy of the mark of the beast has to be fully implemented. And the mark of the beast is the microchip technology. And it's ironic because, the Most High opens up his elect's eyes, but the rest he blinds. See, they don't see what's plain as day, what's clear as crystal, that the mark of the beast is in fact the microchip technology. And at the end of the day, if you're not teaching that, the Most High is not dealing with you, period. So now let's go into these scriptures. First scripture is Isaiah 29 verse 6. It says, "Thou shalt be visited of Yahweh of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire." You had this big fire in over there in the west in California, certain areas of California. This place called Paradise, California, was totally wiped away. That'll never, I don't see that ever being built back up again. Matthew 27 verse 54. And this is when our Lord was being crucified. And this is a statement that a Roman soldier said to another one. Matthew 27 verse 54. Now when the centurion and they that were with him watching the Lord saw the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, "Truly this was the Son of the Most High." Now, these centurions, these Roman officers, I believe some of them were Israelites, and I believe this man that made the statement to the other Roman soldiers, I believe he was a Jake. Now, it doesn't say that, but why would the Edomite acknowledge that this man is the Son of God or the Son of the Most High? This is Matthew 28. I wasn't going to read this one, but I'll read it anyway because, you know, they say earthquakes take place when tectonic plates shift, and that's true. If there's a shift in the tectonic plates, you feel it in the form of an earthquake. But the Most High can bring an earthquake and give power to his angels to bring earthquakes when there's no shift of tectonic plates, no fault line being shifted or moved. The Most High, the angels, just make it happen. It says Matthew 28 verse 2, "And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of Yahweh descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it." So that was a mighty angel. Acts 16 verse 26. "And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundation of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were open, and every man's bands were loose." So who loosened the bands from these men? Let me go back a couple of verses. Okay, this is Acts 16 verse 22. "And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes and commanded to beat them." And as you read down, this was Paul and Silas. "And when they had laid many stripes upon them, they cast them into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely who having received such a charge, thrust them into the inner prison and made their feet fast in the stocks. And at midnight Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. And the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundation of the prison was shaken, and immediately all the doors were open, and everyone's bands were loose. And the keeper of the prison, awaking out of his sleep and seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword. And nowadays they have guns. Back then they had swords, and would have killed himself, supposing that the prisoners had been fled. But Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, "Do thyself no harm, for we are all here." So, I mean, you can read the rest of that. And like I said, Esau always has a logical reason, a logical explanation as to why earthquakes hit. And they'll tell you, oh, it's the tectonic plates. They're like a rubber band. They stretch, and then when they pop back into place, you get an earthquake. But now you're getting these earthquakes where the scientists don't necessarily find any seismic activity. So they really can't explain why this earthquake took place. Well, it's the Most High making these earthquakes happen. Now I want to go to Matthew 24 verse 7. Now when you go to Matthew 24 verse 3, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go to that. It says, "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" So the sign of the Lord coming and of the end of the world, is going to happen at the same time. When the Lord comes back, that's when this system is going to be done away with. And the world that's going to be done away with is Esau's world. He's in a rulership seat. Now you can read the next verses 4, 5, and 6, but I'm going to jump right to the 7th verse. "For nation shall rise against nation," and that's happened right now. Wars and rumors of wars are going on all around. Little skirmishes and proxy wars are taking place. And this is the main reason why we remain diligent to this truth and stay with this thing. Me, myself, and other men. You got the apostles and you got the elders, and then you got men that came into this thing 10, almost 12 years ago. And these men that came in, 10, 11, 12 years ago, they've been faithful for all these years. So they're not, you can't call them novices. Somebody that been in this thing for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years still can be considered a novice. Somebody that's been in this thing above 10 years can very well be considered, someone that's rooted. And then you got, people like myself that been in this thing for over 30 years. through the years, we seen back at One West, back in the 80s to the 90s, we seen different men come and go. Men that were on fire, that were great speakers, so to speak, that knew scriptures and, read 1 Corinthians 13 chapter. A lot of those guys that you just knew were men of the Lord fell out for one reason or another. It says in Habakkuk, the second chapter, if it tarry, wait for it. It shall not tarry. It shall surely come. And I've been in this thing, like I said, for these many years, since the 80s. And we didn't see these prophecies back in the 80s and even in the 90s. We thought that this place was going to be taken out based upon the war, a Desert Storm, when you go back to 1991. And then you had the riots out there in L.A. over the Rodney King beating. And we said, yeah, the Most High getting ready to come, and the Most High didn't come. So here, too many things are taking place. So what the Lord said in Matthew the 24th chapter, in the 3rd verse, He's giving you these signs. He said, when you see this, when you see that, then you know that this destruction's coming. It says 7th verse, Matthew 24 verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. Now you can read a second Ezra, the 15th chapter in the Apocrypha, and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places or different places. It says 8th verse, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Now we're going to go to Mark 13 verse 8. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines. And when you look up that word famines, it literally means a lack of food. And troubles, these are the beginnings of sorrows. In Luke 21 verse 11, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilence, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from the heavens. In other words, you're going to see a lot of UFO sightings, mainly UFO sightings, and you're going to see we have seen these eclipses, these blood moons. You had the Halley's Comet that had 7 tails behind it, which 7 represent completion. So we're definitely in this time, man. And like I said, I believe the Most High is going to really turn things up in 2019. And that could be something major could happen within the very first week of January 2019. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.